Here is the rewritten version of the passage with only the character names, context, and setting changed, all while preserving the plot, transitions, and writing style exactly as requested. Picture this: a grand ballroom, awash in glittering chandeliers, tuxedos, and diamonds. A pregnant woman, doing her best to wear a brave smile, stands at the edge of the room as whispers swirl around her like a ravenous tide. Suddenly, the mistress arrives, slim, stunning, radiating confidence, and zeroes in on her target. She delivers a snide remark loud enough for everyone to hear, mocking the wife's blossoming belly and delicate situation. Gasps fill the air. Everyone expects the millionaire husband to defend his wife. Instead, silence reigns until the pregnant wife makes a move no one saw coming. In the blink of an eye, the entire room is about to witness one of the most shocking public downfalls anyone has ever seen. 4 years before that electrifying charity gala, wealthy entrepreneur Vincent Cole Hawthorne, heir to the Hawthorne Property Group, married Olivia Bennet in an exclusive ceremony at St. Augustine's Cathedral in San Francisco. Vincent, known for his quiet demeanor and refined taste, took over the reins of Hawthorne Holdings following his father's passing. Olivia, once a rising interior designer from Portland, was swept up into a fairy tale when she accepted Vincent's proposal. The wedding, rumored to have cost nearly $2 million, was the talk of the season. No expense was spared. The bride's gown was custom-made in Milan. The guest list included famed personalities like Jeff Bezos, Beyoncé, and François-Henri Pinault, old acquaintances of Vincent's late father. Media coverage was relentless. Olivia's hesitant smiles in the wedding photos were explained away as bridal nerves. Yet a few close friends worried something might not be quite right. After all, Olivia had given up her thriving design career in Portland to relocate to the high-pressure world of Bay Area society. In private, they weren't the picture-perfect couple the society magazines made them out to be. Vincent was always busy. Work followed him home. Phone calls late into the night, weekend meetings, constant travel. There were also rumors that, behind his polished veneer, he was controlling, sometimes cold, and seldom showed the warmth one might expect in a loving marriage. But from the outside, they looked unstoppable. With Olivia's impeccable style and Vincent's business acumen, they quickly became the philanthropic it couple for events, galas, and fundraisers. Their story was that of a modern fairy tale, but every fairy tale has its hidden shadows. After they were married, Olivia was immediately drawn into Vincent's expansive philanthropic network. The Hawthorne name had funded hospitals, scholarship programs, and art museums for over half a century. Vincent's father, the late Maxwell Hawthorne, had built not just a real estate empire, but also a legacy of philanthropy. It was that legacy Vincent was determined to uphold, more to honor his father's memory than out of genuine altruism, or so Olivia suspected over time. These posh charity galas and black tie events began to take a toll on Olivia. She was expected to mingle flawlessly, host dinner parties, and decorate lavish penthouses for donor gatherings, sometimes with less than a week's notice. If anything went awry, Vincent's disapproval was palpable. He never yelled or cursed. Instead, a cold glare or a silent drive home would leave Olivia feeling like she was walking on eggshells. Despite her reservations, Olivia quietly endured the demands. Part of her believed that once the frantic pace of their new life settled, Vincent would open his heart to her. She had, after all, married him out of a combination of love, admiration, and a desire to make him proud. Behind closed doors, Vincent occasionally showed tenderness, praising her event coordination, patting her on the shoulder for a job well done, or gifting her with an elegant necklace after a successful fundraiser. These moments of warmth were fleeting, but enough to keep Olivia hopeful. It was at one such fundraiser, an event supporting foster care initiatives in San Francisco, that Olivia first met Camilla Knox, an up-and-coming socialite with a trust fund rumored to stem from a colorful Louisiana oil dynasty. Camilla was tall, raven-haired, and wore sky-high stilettos that seemed more fitting for a fashion runway than a philanthropic soiree. She caught Vincent's eye from across the room. At first, Olivia thought nothing of it. Vincent was a people person and had to maintain pleasantries with big donors or their heirs. But over time, small rumors began to swirl. Friends in Olivia's circle mentioned spotting Vincent and Camilla tucked into the same corner booth at an exclusive lounge on multiple occasions, once without Olivia. Staff at the Hawthorne Foundation noted that Camilla had become an unusually active volunteer, often working late nights at the office, nights that consistently aligned with Vincent's schedule. Olivia tried to suppress her suspicions, reminding herself that Camilla was involved in philanthropy just like everyone else in their social circle. But at dinners, the body language was unmistakable, Camilla leaning just a little too close to Vincent, her laughter a bit too loud at his jokes. It made Olivia's blood run cold. She confided in a single close friend, Danielle Brooks, who had known Olivia since their university days. Danielle was a lawyer who had seen enough marital breakdowns to recognize red flags from a mile away. "Don't ignore your instincts," Danielle warned over an afternoon tea in Olivia's Pacific Heights penthouse. "If he's stepping out, you need evidence. You need to be prepared." Olivia resisted, refusing to believe it could be that dire. She still wanted to trust her husband. And so, ignoring the twinges of doubt, she put on a smile at each event, even if it grew more and more forced each time Camilla flitted into the room. Olivia's world tilted on its axis one crisp autumn morning when she discovered she was pregnant. The morning sickness, the exhaustion, she chalked it up to stress from event planning until a quick pharmacy test changed her life. After a second test confirmed it, she decided to announce the news to Vincent in a special way. She arranged candles and a small display of baby shoes in their living room, hoping to catch him in a rare moment of calm. Vincent's reaction was subdued. He offered a polite smile, said something about the surprising timing, and then asked if they should schedule a doctor's appointment immediately. Olivia felt her heart sink. She had expected an embrace, tears of joy, or at least a kiss. Instead, she received logistical questions, as if he were preparing for a business merger instead of fatherhood. Still, Olivia's joy was undiminished. She vowed to keep a positive spirit, hoping the baby would bridge the emotional distance growing between them. Maybe, she thought, fatherhood would awaken the warmth Vincent so rarely displayed. True to form, Vincent did schedule all the necessary doctor's visits. He accompanied Olivia, asked about her vitamin intake and diet, and even insisted on hiring a private chef to ensure she received optimal nutrition. It all appeared caring on the surface, but Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that it was too mechanical. Like ticking items off a checklist. He rarely asked how she felt about the changes in her body, her hopes, or her fears. Late one evening, Olivia was in bed reading pregnancy articles on her tablet when she heard Vincent's voice drifting in from the hallway. He was on the phone. She strained her ears. "Don't worry," he said in a hushed tone. "We'll talk tomorrow in the office." The voice he used was soft, almost affectionate, though he never mentioned a name. Olivia's heart pounded with dread. She chose not to confront him. An inner voice told her the truth would come out on its own. Sometimes, illusions are easier to maintain than a painful reality. It was around Olivia's second trimester when Camilla's presence became impossible to ignore. She was everywhere, in the tabloids, on social media, often photographed attending society events with Vincent, but never with Olivia. A mutual acquaintance mentioned that Camilla had been named a special advisor to the Hawthorne Foundation's new initiative on sustainable housing. Olivia had never heard of such a role. More suspiciously, Camilla and Vincent were spotted outside a boutique hotel, just having coffee, according to the gossip columns. The strain of it all caused Olivia's eyes to well with tears at unpredictable moments. Still, she clung to a semblance of dignity and told herself that Camilla was just another social climber who latched onto wealthy men for attention. Vincent assured Olivia that Camilla's father, Everett Knox, was a significant donor, and that Camilla's involvement was simply part of a broader philanthropic partnership. Desperate to maintain her marriage and protect her unborn child, Olivia tried to believe him. Each word of reassurance felt like water slipping through her fingers, impossible to hold, even harder to trust. But that nagging sense of betrayal never left her. Throughout her pregnancy, Olivia began noticing subtle changes in Vincent. He started coming home even later, often with vague excuses. Weekend getaways or dinners that he claimed were work-related suddenly multiplied. Meanwhile, Olivia was left feeling isolated, filling her time with prenatal yoga, reading about baby care, and meticulously designing the nursery in their sprawling San Francisco penthouse. The quiet of the penthouse was no longer peaceful. It was deafening. Each hour alone stretched like days, heavy with the ache of uncertainty. On her own, Olivia decided to investigate. She rummaged through Vincent's study one afternoon and found a receipt for an expensive bracelet from Tiffany & Co., dated around Valentine's Day. She had never received any such gift. Later, she discovered a key card for a suite at the Fairmont. Panic fluttered in her chest as she realized the date aligned with one of Vincent's supposed business conferences. Her hands trembled. The room, grief-stricken and uncertain, old Vincent looked at her calmly and asserted that it was a misunderstanding. The bracelet, he claimed, had been for a loyal donor, an older woman he was trying to impress for a major foundation grant. The hotel suite, he said, was for a visiting business associate. Olivia knew the explanation was flimsy, but she lacked proof to refute him outright. It wasn't just the lies that broke her. It was the ease with which he told them, as if her pain were merely collateral damage. Weary and heartbroken, "Olivia, you need to protect yourself and your child." Danielle law, but Olivia balked at the, "I'm pregnant," she said, tears brimming. "I can't just give up." Her voice cracked, not from weakness, but from the unbearable crack. Danielle took her hand, sometimes letting go is the strongest thing. A few weeks later, an administrative assistant at the Hawthorne Foundation, Beverly was hesitant to reveal anything at first, but she insisted she had vital information for Olivia. They agreed to meet at a discreet cafe in Hayes Valley, far from the usual upscale San Francisco spots. Over a cup of chamomile tea, Beverly confessed she'd seen suspicious emails between Vincent and Camilla, filled with personal sentiments and allusions to weekends away. She had overheard phone calls in which Camilla referred to Olivia as the clueless wife. And most nauseatingly, Camilla would frequently say, "I can't wait until the baby is born, so we can ship it off to a nanny and have our fun." Beverly's eyes brimmed with tears, as if she couldn't bear to keep the secret any longer. "I know what it's like to be ignored," Beverly whispered. "I couldn't watch you suffer without at least telling you the truth." Olivia clutched her teacup, heart pounding with a mix of fury and heartbreak. This was no longer speculation. Vincent was having an affair, and Camilla was mocking Olivia, even ridiculing her unborn child. Armed with Beverly's revelations, Olivia felt her resolve harden like steel. She was not the naive interior designer from Portland anymore, nor was she the docile wife who blindly followed her husband to every social event. She was a mother, determined to protect her child. Olivia decided to hire a private investigator, just as Danielle had suggested months ago. The investigator, a composed woman named Ellen Price, specialized in high-profile cases with absolute discretion. Within days, Ellen confirmed what Olivia already suspected. Vincent and Camilla were renting a lavish condominium in the Mission District for their clandestine meetings. Ellen provided dates, times, photographs, and even recorded phone calls. Enough evidence to shatter Olivia's heart into 1,000 jagged pieces. But amidst the tears, Olivia felt a strange sense of liberation. She no longer had to pretend. She had facts, and the means to protect herself and her unborn child. The next step was figuring out how and when to confront Vincent. More importantly, she had to do it in a way that left no room for him to manipulate her or tarnish her reputation. She needed to do it publicly, where Vincent's carefully curated persona would work against him. As fate would have it, the Hawthorne Foundation's annual holiday charity gala was just weeks away. This event was always a star-studded affair with guests from the upper echelons of business, politics, and entertainment. The press coverage was immense. Cameras rolled from the moment guests stepped out of their limousines onto the red carpet. Olivia typically dreaded such gatherings, but this year she saw it as an opportunity. She reached out to Danielle and quietly set a plan in motion. If Vincent was going to flaunt his mistress in public, even subtly, then Olivia would ensure the entire world saw the truth. And if Camilla dared mock her at the event, pregnant belly and all, Olivia wanted the power to strike back in the most controlled, strategic way possible. Over the next few days, Olivia worked tirelessly behind the scenes. She arranged with Danielle's legal firm to have the divorce papers finalized, citing Vincent's affair as the grounds. She prepared a separate envelope containing the damning evidence, photographs, transcripts, receipts, all of it. The crowning detail was the place and manner in which Vincent would be served, under the brightest spotlight of them all. On the night of the holiday charity gala, the ballroom of the Embarcadero Grand was transformed into a winter wonderland. Glittering icicle lights hung from the ceiling, elegant ice sculptures adorned the reception area, and white floral arrangements lined the tables. Guests arrived in tuxedos and evening gowns, smiling for the paparazzi. Olivia, now nearly 6 months pregnant, wore a custom midnight blue dress that accentuated her growing belly with dignified elegance. She arrived alone. Meanwhile, Vincent arrived in a separate limousine with Camilla, though they didn't walk the red carpet together. Vincent was still cautious, but the insiders knew they were a couple. Camilla wore a gleaming silver gown, cut low at the back, turning heads with each step. If there had been any doubt about her sense of triumph, it was erased by the smug smile she gave the cameras, as if she were relishing her moment in the limelight. Olivia remained composed, greeting old acquaintances and donors with practiced poise. She could feel Camilla's eyes on her from across the ballroom, but she refused to acknowledge it. She had a mission, and the night had only just begun. As the evening's program commenced, Vincent went on stage to deliver a welcome speech on behalf of the Hawthorne Foundation. He thanked the donors, praised the volunteers, and announced a new expansion project for affordable housing, no doubt something Camilla had helped orchestrate. He showed his usual calm confidence, drawing polite applause from the crowd. The tension in the air was palpable. Olivia sat at a front table, her shoulders back, chin high. Camilla, unabashed, positioned herself just 2 seats away. During a brief intermission, Camilla sauntered over, a glass of champagne in hand. Lowering her voice so only Olivia could hear, she sneered, "You really shouldn't be drinking anything but water in your condition, dear. Or is that baby your only claim to the Hawthorne name now?" Olivia's chest tightened, but she remained outwardly calm. "I'm perfectly fine," she replied softly, "and so is my child." Camilla gave a dismissive laugh. "We'll see how long that lasts." With that, she strode away, leaving Olivia seething. But Olivia wouldn't rise to the bait. She had bigger plans. The show truly started when Camilla took the stage as the newly appointed Director of Donor Relations to introduce a musical performance. Flanked by a string quartet, Camilla spoke into the microphone about the Foundation's philanthropic spirit, throwing in pointed jabs at traditional families who face challenges. They may not have been ready for it, drawing side eyes from those who suspected what she was implying. The crowd, a mix of oblivious socialites and keen observers, exchanged murmurs. Some saw through Camilla's facade. Others thought she was merely alluding to general philanthropic issues. But for Olivia, each word felt like a knife. Her cheeks burned, her heart raced. She could see Vincent on the sidelines, arms crossed, looking vaguely amused. Or was it nervousness? The mistress was mocking the pregnant wife in front of everyone, acting as though she held some moral high ground. Little did Camilla know, Olivia had one final scene to stage. After Camilla's speech, guests began to mingle again. High-profile donors approached Vincent to discuss potential partnerships, while Camilla basked in her 15 minutes of fame. Olivia's hand drifted to her belly, and she steeled herself for what was coming next. Danielle, seated discreetly at a table near the back, made eye contact with Olivia and gave a subtle nod. The moment had arrived. The Master of Ceremonies announced a special segment, a surprise presentation by Olivia Bennet Hawthorne. People applauded politely, curious. Olivia made her way onto the stage, microphone in hand. Spotlights illuminated her, revealing the slight tremor in her posture, but her voice when she spoke was clear and unwavering. She began by thanking the donors and expressing her gratitude for the philanthropic legacy of the Hawthorne family. Her words carried a sincerity that contrasted sharply with Camilla's smug monologue. Then, with a calm that belied the turmoil in her heart, Olivia took a steady breath. "I would like to invite my husband, Vincent Hawthorne, on stage for a brief announcement." The crowd clapped and Vincent approached, his face carefully neutral. Camilla stood in the shadows, arms folded, lips pressed into a thin line. She had no idea what was coming. As Vincent joined Olivia under the lights, she gave a poised smile. "Vincent, for the past few months we have supported each other through various philanthropic endeavors. At least, that's how it may have appeared." The crowd fell silent, sensing tension. The cameras were rolling, capturing every moment. Olivia continued, "But tonight, I must speak a truth that weighs heavily on me. I stand here not just as your wife, but as the mother of your unborn child. And while I believed we were building a future together, it appears there's another story, one that involves betrayal, secrecy, and dishonor." The audience stirred. Some gasped, others looked around, unsure how to react. In the corner, Camilla turned pale, her confidence wavering. Olivia drew out a manila envelope and held it up. "I regret to inform you, and all of our esteemed guests, that I have no choice but to file for divorce." She handed the envelope to Vincent, who stood frozen, shock flickering across his features. Murmurs rippled through the crowd like an impending storm. "This envelope contains documented proof of Vincent Hawthorne's affair with Camilla Knox," Olivia declared. At the mention of Camilla's name, the cameras whipped in her direction, capturing her look of horror. "There are photographs, receipts, and statements that I'm sure will thoroughly explain why I've reached this decision." A collective gasp filled the ballroom. Vincent's jaw clenched. Camilla looked as if she might faint. Only Olivia stood firm, tears in her eyes, but determination in her voice. "I will not be mocked or humiliated," she concluded, "and I will not allow my child to grow up in a home built on lies. This ends now." Pandemonium erupted. Some onlookers tried to stifle their shock, while others whispered with glee. A few cameras remained trained on Camilla, who rushed forward and grabbed Vincent's arm, her face contorted with anger. "You said you would handle this," she hissed, loud enough for the nearest microphones to catch. Vincent, visibly flustered, attempted to regain composure. "Everyone, please. This is a misunderstanding," he began, but Olivia turned to him with a fierce gaze. "There is no misunderstanding," she said. "Not when there are hotel receipts, email correspondences, and pictures. If you want to lie, do it in court." Security personnel hovered around the stage, unsure whether to intervene. Vincent signaled them to stand down, but Camilla, in a desperate attempt to save face, grabbed the microphone. "This is all slander," she shrieked, eyes blazing. "You're just a jealous hormonal woman who can't satisfy—" She never finished her sentence. The microphone cut out, courtesy of the quick-thinking sound crew, leaving the remainder of her tirade unheard by the public. At that moment, Olivia felt the baby kick, as if lending support from within. She closed her eyes briefly, inhaled the cold air of the ballroom, and slowly descended the stage. The final image captured by the news cameras was of Olivia holding her belly, walking with unshakable grace, while Vincent and Camilla were left on stage, in the throes of a very public debacle. By the end of the evening, the gala was overshadowed by one headline: "Pregnant wife publicly serves divorce papers to millionaire Vincent Hawthorne amid affair allegations." Social media lit up. Tabloids had a field day. Paparazzi swarmed outside the Embarcadero Grand, clamoring for a picture or a statement. Olivia, escorted by Danielle, slipped into a waiting car and sped off, leaving the chaos behind her. Inside the limousine, Olivia trembled. The emotional toll of that public confrontation weighed on her heavily. Danielle rubbed her shoulders. "You did what you had to do. Now let the lawyers handle the rest." Vincent attempted to call Olivia repeatedly that night, but she ignored every call. Camilla, too, was apparently sending messages, though Olivia wouldn't stoop to read them. For the first time in months, Olivia felt a strange sense of liberation. She was free from the charade, free from the lies. Even though her future was uncertain, she was no longer trapped in a loveless marriage ruled by deceit. By dawn the next day, every major news outlet and gossip website featured Olivia's dramatic stand at the gala. Hashtags like #Hawthorne scandal and exposed Mistress mockery trended on Twitter. In an unexpected turn, the public largely sympathized with Olivia. People admired her courage, especially given her pregnancy. Some news analysts, who once adored Vincent as a generous philanthropist, slammed him for his duplicity. Camilla's social media accounts were bombarded with negative comments, calling her a homewrecker and worse. Even celebrities weighed in. Talk show host Wendy Williams, never one to hold back, commented, "If you're bold enough to flaunt an affair, be bold enough to handle the fallout. Meanwhile, philanthropic circles quietly distanced themselves from Camilla. Rumors swirled that her father, Everett Knox, was furious over her reckless behavior, fearing it might tarnish the family name. The morning after, Vincent appeared at Olivia's penthouse unannounced, demanding to talk. The doorman tried to stop him, but Vincent pressed forward. Olivia, wearing a loose-fitting robe, cradling her baby bump, met him in the living room. Danielle was present as well, arms folded, ready to intervene if needed. Vincent's eyes were bloodshot, his hair disheveled. "You ambushed me," he spat, voice quivering with rage. "At a charity event, in front of everyone, you humiliated me." Olivia held her jaw firm. "I told the truth," she replied, voice steady. "You humiliated yourself the moment you took Camilla to bed." He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. "We could have handled this privately. The donors are in an uproar. The board is calling for my resignation." "Consequences of your actions," Olivia interjected. "I owe you no sympathy." Vincent attempted to shift tactics, pleading with her to reconsider. He promised to end the affair, to be a proper father to their child. But each word fell flat. Olivia stared at him, tears swimming in her eyes, remembering the months of suspicion at the late-night calls, the hateful mockery from Camilla. She shook her head. "I'm done," she said. "If you truly want to be a father, you'll do so under the terms I dictate, through my legal counsel." With that final statement, Olivia turned and walked away, leaving Vincent in stunned silence. Danielle followed him to the door, escorting him out. Once he was gone, Olivia retreated to her bedroom and allowed herself a moment to break down. The tears flowed in torrents. She grieved for the marriage. She thought she had the love she once believed could grow, and the father her child might never truly know. Yet beneath the heartbreak burned a steadfast determination. Olivia swore she would protect her baby from any future manipulations. If Vincent wanted to be involved, it would be on her terms, not his. And as for Camilla, Olivia's only hope was that one day, Vincent would recognize the difference between a fleeting affair and real companionship. Though Olivia no longer cared to witness that lesson unfold. Over the next few weeks, Danielle and her team tirelessly negotiated the divorce terms. Vincent initially resisted, refusing to settle under the full demands Olivia proposed, particularly her request for sole physical custody. He insisted on equal rights to the child, claiming the baby was as much his as hers. Olivia's legal team argued that his unstable behavior and proven infidelity were grounds to limit his parental involvement, at least until he demonstrated genuine responsibility. Meanwhile, Camilla vanished from the social scene. Rumors circulated that her father, Everett Knox, had cut off her allowance and scolded her for bringing such disgrace to the family name. Some said she was hiding out in Europe. Others whispered she was at an upscale clinic in California, dealing with emotional stress. Olivia paid no attention. Camilla's fate was no longer relevant to her life. The winter months were especially cold that year. The swirling snow outside matched the swirling uncertainties in Olivia's world. Despite all the turmoil, she found solace in preparing for her baby's arrival. She busied herself setting up the nursery, folding tiny clothes, researching strollers, and reading parenting books. Each little act reminded her that there was hope, that there was joy to be found in the new life forming inside her. She also began returning to her roots in interior design, taking on small projects for close friends. It was a way to reinvigorate her creativity and reclaim a piece of her old self. The Olivia who had her own aspirations and wasn't defined by the Hawthorne name. Occasionally, she would wonder if she had done the right thing by going so public with the divorce. Yet every time doubt crept in, she remembered Camilla's sneer and Vincent's cold indifference. The truth needed to be exposed. In a bid to salvage his reputation and the Hawthorne Foundation's donor base, Vincent scheduled a press conference at the Foundation's headquarters. He read a prepared statement in which he apologized to anyone who was hurt by my personal decisions, and specifically expressed regret for his failures as a husband. Publicly, he pledged to continue serving as a board member, but stated that he would step back from his day-to-day leadership role, citing personal reasons. The apology garnered mixed reactions. Some lauded him for owning up to his mistake. Others scorned him for not doing so sooner. Olivia watched a snippet on the morning news. She noted how carefully crafted his words were. Not once did he mention Camilla by name, nor did he address the baby directly. She found it lacking in sincerity, but at least the public pressure had forced him to acknowledge wrongdoing. A small victory? In all. As Olivia advanced into her 7th month of pregnancy, her emotional states oscillated wildly. She was elated at every kick and movement from her unborn child, yet nights were often sleepless. Filled with anxiety about the future, would she be enough for her bee? Sometimes the fears came without warning, like waves crashing into a fragile shoreline. She would place a protective hand over her belly in the dark, whispering reassurances to the life inside her, even as her own confidence cracked under the weight of uncertainty. There were moments when she questioned whether she had ignored signs, whether her quiet compliance had somehow allowed the fracture in her marriage to grow. These while she had resources, yes, but money was never a sub-poirats. Sometimes, thoughts of Vincent haunted her dreams. She recalled the early days of their relationship, dinner dates, walks along the Embarcadero, laughter at random jokes. She wondered if she had romanticized their union, or if there had been genuine affectio. Even so, she recognized that those fleeting good memories, loneliness became Olivia's constant companion. Oddly, it comforted her too. One of them, a soft spoke, with every meeting. One evening as she dozed on the couch, she almost closed the door in high. "May I come?" against her. He stepped. Olivia listened carefully. For the first time, Vincent showed genuine concern for the baby's well-being, rather than the optics of the situation. He expressed how much he regretted his actions, though he stopped short of fully acknowledging the damage. Still, it was the closest thing to real remorse. Olivia had heard from him. She agreed to let him attend the final ultrasound appointment, but she made it clear this changed nothing about the divorce proceedings. Vincent left after half an hour, leaving the stuffed bear on the coffee table, a small, possibly sincere gesture. At the ultrasound session, Vincent joined Olivia in the exam room. Awkward silence stretched between them until the technician began the scan. The rhythmic thump of the baby's heartbeat filled the room. The screen flickered, revealing the outline of a tiny face. Olivia felt tears spill onto her cheeks. Vincent, too, looked visibly moved, his eyes misting over. For one fragile moment, they were simply two people witnessing the miracle of new life. The swirl of legal battles, infidelity, and heartbreak receded into the background. Time seemed to pause, held in the hush of the dimly lit room, where the only sound was the heartbeat of their child. A soft, steady reminder that something pure had emerged from the wreckage of their love. When the technician handed them the printed ultrasound images, Vincent gently touched Olivia's hand. She didn't pull away. It was a flicker of unity, a reminder that, despite everything, they shared a child. A fragile, unspoken truce settled between them, not of reconciliation, but of responsibility. Leaving the clinic, Vincent offered to drive Olivia home. She hesitated, then agreed. The ride was silent, but not tense. It was as if they both realized this was a pivotal moment. How they handled co-parenting would shape the baby's life forever. With each turn of the car, the future loomed closer. Not the life they had once imagined, but a new one, forged from necessity and the tender weight of shared duty. In the weeks that followed, Vincent's lawyers reached out with revised divorce terms. Vincent conceded to a hefty financial settlement and a structured visitation schedule, acknowledging Olivia's right to full physical custody. Initially, a joint therapy session was proposed, specifically geared toward co-parenting strategies. Although Olivia was hesitant, Danielle advised her it could be beneficial for setting healthy boundaries. They attended their first session in a discreet therapist's office, far from the paparazzi. Emotions ran high. Olivia vented her sense of betrayal. Vincent expressed guilt over letting their marriage deteriorate. While no miracles happened overnight, they began to see each other not just as adversaries in a legal war, but as the mother and father of a soon-to-be-born child who deserved stability and love. For the fur. On a snowy morning in late March, Olivia went into labor. The contractions struck like rolling thunder, sending her rushing to the hospital with Danielle by her side. Vincent arrived an hour later, breathless, anxiety etched across his features. Despite the tension between them, Olivia allowed him in the delivery room, knowing that this moment transcended their broken relationship. After a grueling labor, a piercing cry announced the arrival of a baby girl. The medical staff placed the infant in Olivia's arms. Through tears of exhaustion and joy, Olivia gazed at her daughter, tiny fingers grasping the air, eyes tightly shut. The world, with all its chaos and betrayals, faded into insignificance. This was her truth now. This warm, breathing miracle against her chest. Vincent stood beside her, wiping tears from his own cheeks, carefully placing a hand on the baby's head. In that instant, the bitterness of the past year melted away, replaced by awe for the life they had created together. While they were no longer husband and wife, they had forged an unbreakable bond as parents. Once news of the baby's birth leaked, tabloids clamored for details. Speculations about the child's name, weight, and Vincent's involvement ran rampant. Olivia remained tight-lipped. She refused to give interviews, valuing her newborn's privacy above all else. Vincent, too, stayed silent, only releasing a brief statement through his lawyers. "We are grateful for a healthy delivery and respectfully request privacy as we focus on our daughter's well-being." Camilla was conspicuously absent from the narrative. No statements, no social media posts. It seemed she had retreated completely, cast out by the high society circles that once welcomed her. In a world where reputation meant everything, Camilla had burned too many bridges. Whether she felt remorse or shame, no one could say. As Olivia recovered in the hospital, Vincent visited daily to see the baby. The tension that once choked their every interaction was replaced by a measured civility. They talked about feeding schedules, diaper brands, and doctor appointments. Occasionally, laughter would break through, a soft reminder of simpler times. Olivia began to realize that while she would always feel the sting of betrayal, the love she had for her daughter overshadowed the pain. She chose to focus on the present, diaper changes, lullabies, and precious quiet moments. Vincent, for his part, seemed genuinely committed to fatherhood. It didn't erase his past wrongdoing, but it was a step toward being there for his child. Months passed. Olivia embraced motherhood with fierce devotion. She also resumed taking more interior design clients, balancing her time between caring for her daughter, whom she named Isabella, and cultivating her re-emerging career. She moved out of the penthouse, purchasing a cozy townhouse in Pacific Heights. Though smaller, it was entirely her own, a testament to her independence. Friends marveled at how she juggled single motherhood and a busy schedule. Olivia, though, found a strength within herself she never knew existed. The heartbreak from Vincent's affair and the public spectacle of the divorce had forged her into a stronger woman. She cherished the quiet evenings rocking Isabella to sleep, finding in those tender moments a sense of fulfillment she had long craved. On weekends, Vincent took Isabella to the park or on short visits to his own residence. The arrangement went smoothly, thanks in large part to the therapy sessions and the clearly defined legal agreement. Olivia sometimes felt pangs of sadness seeing Vincent cradle Isabella, memories of what could have been drifting through her mind. But she resolved to keep the peace for Isabella's sake. Over time, they found a rhythm. While Vincent remained somewhat distant emotionally, his love for Isabella was evident. He kept a nursery in his own home, stocked with everything she might need. Gradually, Olivia softened, recognizing that fatherhood had opened a corner of Vincent's heart. She had never fully seen it before, but the damage to their marriage was irreparable. The gift of a child offered them both a chance to cultivate a different kind of family dynamic, respectful, if not affectionate. Occasionally, Olivia would hear rumors about Camilla's whereabouts. One tidbit placed her in a luxury rehab facility in Malibu, dealing with reported exhaustion and mental health issues. Another gossip column suggested she was attempting to write a tell-all book about her experiences with high-profile men. Olivia rarely paid such rumors any mind. She had won her own battle. Her dignity and her child's future were secure. One day, Olivia stumbled upon an old photograph from the ill-fated gala, capturing Camilla mid-sneer as she directed a mocking jibe at Olivia's pregnant form. For a moment, Olivia felt the anger resurface. Then she looked down at Isabella, peacefully napping in her bassinet, and let out a quiet sigh. Camilla was a relic of the past, a symbol of betrayal. Olivia had moved on, had grown, and ultimately triumphed. No further vengeance or bitterness was necessary. life took on a semblance of normalcy. Olivia's business thrived as her designs caught the eye of affluent clients seeking tasteful, understated luxury. She also began a YouTube channel, showcasing home design tips and do-it-yourself ideas for mothers on a budget, wanting to break the myth that style was only for the wealthy. Her authenticity and expertise quickly garnered a loyal following. Isabella grew rapidly, babbling her first words and taking tentative steps across the living room floor. Each milestone brought Olivia an indescribable joy. She documented these moments in a private scrapbook, a cherished keepsake of their mother-daughter journey. Some nights she would gently place Isabella in her crib, recalling the day she stood before the world at a charity gala, pregnant and humiliated, but ultimately triumphant. It felt like a lifetime ago. Nearly a year after the gala, Olivia found herself at another charity function, this time for a pediatric hospital wing funded by the Hawthorne Foundation. She had been invited due to her design contributions for the children's play area. While she initially hesitated, she decided to attend. She wanted to show that she bore no ill will toward philanthropic causes themselves, and also to demonstrate her resilience. The event was smaller, more understated, focused on the patients and doctors rather than extravagant displays of wealth. Vincent was there, cutting the ribbon alongside a local council member. He spotted Olivia in the crowd and offered a small smile, a nod of recognition. She nodded back. The cameras didn't swarm them this time. The tabloids had moved on to fresher scandals. After the ceremony, Vincent approached her to thank her for her design work. Their conversation was brief but respectful, a far cry from the explosive confrontation a year earlier. That evening, as Olivia returned home, she reflected on how much had changed. She was no longer the timid wife overshadowed by her husband's ambitions. She was a mother, a professional, and a woman who had reclaimed her identity. She had faced betrayal and public humiliation, but emerged stronger, with her self-worth intact. Vincent, in his own way, seemed to be on a path of self-reflection. Whether that led to genuine personal growth, or just another layer of pretense, Olivia couldn't say. She found she no longer needed that answer. Her life's anchor was now Isabella, and nothing could undermine the happiness she cultivated for them. The world Olivia had known, the one of red carpets, whispered betrayals, and staged smiles, was behind her now, and in its place stood something simpler, softer, and far more real. It began with curiosity, not commitment. Months after Isabella's birth and the public unraveling of her marriage, Olivia found herself ready to smile again, not performatively, not politely, but truly. Her days were filled with lullabies, morning sunlight on the nursery walls, and client consultations that reignited her passion for design. Her townhouse, modest compared to the Hawthorne penthouse, was filled with warmth, color, and the quiet hum of new beginnings. That's when she met Daniel. He wasn't part of the society circuit or the corporate elite. He was a freelance photojournalist who had spent years traveling through refugee camps, documenting stories that rarely made headlines. They met at a small gallery opening. Olivia was consulting on the space's lighting layout. Daniel had 3 photographs in the exhibit. Their conversation began over a shared admiration for vintage Polaroid tones and turned into coffee. Then phone calls. Then long walks, pushing Isabella's stroller through the Embarcadero. Olivia was cautious. She told Daniel everything, the scandal, the divorce, the media circus. He didn't flinch. "Everyone's carrying a past," he said once. "I'm more interested in how people carry it than in the weight itself." That stayed with her. What drew her to Daniel wasn't grand gestures. It was his gentleness. He never tried to replace what she had lost, never pushed her to move faster than she was ready for. He respected her boundaries, and when he looked at Isabella, it was with genuine affection, not obligation. He brought her small trinkets from his travels. Tiny carved animals, colorful scarves, a harmonica that made the baby giggle uncontrollably. These weren't grand gestures, but they carried meaning, tokens of care that felt deliberate, thoughtful, real. Their relationship unfolded like a sunrise, slow, patient, illuminating 1 inch of sky at a time. One weekend, as Daniel and Olivia picnicked in Dolores Park with Isabella gurgling on a blanket between them, Olivia caught herself laughing, truly laughing. The sound surprised her, full and unrestrained, echoing a version of herself she hadn't heard in far too long. She looked over at Daniel, who was tossing breadcrumbs to nearby birds with one hand and bouncing Isabella with the other, and she felt it. A quiet joy she hadn't known she missed. It wasn't just about romance. It was about safety, ease, a reminder that love didn't have to come wrapped in wealth or tied to legacy. It could bloom quietly, rooted in shared moments and mutual respect. There were no expectations, no shadows of comparison, only present moments, stitched together with kindness. Olivia didn't know what the future held. She wasn't rushing to define it, but for the first time in a long while she wasn't bracing for collapse. Her heart, once guarded and bruised, now opened inch by inch to the possibilities of joy. She was letting herself hope, and in that hope, her life began again. The morning sun filtered softly through the tall windows of Olivia's townhouse, casting a golden hue across the nursery floor. The room was filled with gentle signs of life, a half-folded blanket, a picture book lying open beside a stuffed elephant, and in the crib, the gentle rise and fall of little Isabella's chest as she slept peacefully. The hush of the room felt sacred, a haven forged through pain, reclaimed in love. Olivia stood silently by the window, a cup of tea in her hand, her gaze not on the city below, but on the reflection in the glass of a woman she no longer fully recognized, yet had come to deeply respect. A year ago, her name had been splashed across headlines, linked to a scandal that felt like the unraveling of everything she had built. Mistress mocked the pregnant wife at a charity gala. Millionaire was served divorce papers on stage. The world had watched, judged, speculated, for days, even weeks. Her life wasn't hers. But now, as dawn wrapped around her like a soft shawl, she saw it differently. That chaos had once threatened to define her, but now, it merely marked where the story turned. That night, painful and humiliating as it had been, had become the moment she stopped shrinking and started standing. It had been her breaking point, but also her beginning. She turned from the window and walked to Isabella's crib, brushing a soft strand of hair from her daughter's forehead. The baby sighed in her sleep, curling slightly toward the warmth of her mother's touch. In that single breath, Olivia felt whole, a quiet grace settling to the corners of her being. That simple gesture stirred something deep within Olivia. It wasn't bitterness, it was clarity. She no longer thought of Camilla, the woman who had once sneered at her belly in public. Nor did she dwell on Vincent's betrayal. Those memories had been processed, filed, and placed where they belonged, in the past. Their presence no longer had the power to break her. They were ghosts she had learned not to fear, whispers from another life that could no longer touch the present she had built with her own hands. What filled her now was something entirely new. Peace, purpose, and the quiet thrill of a life reclaimed on her own terms. Her business was thriving. Her YouTube channel, once a hesitant idea born in the stillness of heartbreak, had found its voice. Viewers connected not just with her design insights, but with the strength in her voice, the resilience behind her eyes. And more than anything, her home now echoed with love, laughter, and the steady rhythm of a mother and daughter learning the world together. Every giggle, every messy breakfast, every lullaby hummed in the dark, reminded her that healing wasn't just possible. It was already happening. Some might still call what happened to her a scandal. Others might forever link her name to a public takedown. But Olivia knew better. It wasn't a scandal. It was a rebirth. A cleansing fire that stripped away illusions and left behind the truth of who she really was. She pressed a kiss to Isabella's forehead and whispered, "We made it." And in that simple truth, she found everything she ever needed to know. Not in applause, not in vindication, but in the steady, unwavering beat of her daughter's heart and the quiet strength now rooted in her own. Thank you for joining me on this emotional roller coaster of love, betrayal, and ultimate triumph. Olivia's story reminds us that, even in the darkest moments, when a pregnant woman is mocked in front of high society and a millionaire husband's betrayal plays out on the biggest stage, courage can shine through. She transformed heartbreak into empowerment and emerged stronger than ever, not only for herself, but for her child's future. If this dramatic journey captivated you, please help the channel grow by liking this video, sharing it with fellow drama lovers, and subscribing for more real-life inspired tales of resilience and intrigue. Your support enables us to keep bringing you stories that light up the screen and stir the soul. Until next time, remember, no matter how dark the night, a new dawn of hope is always just around the corner. Thank you, and see you in the next video.